I got time between classes.
Yo, this is sick. Walking right into the spiral staircase.
Deacon Phillippe just gave the world a look into his life as a college student.
How much do you pay for rent in New York?
West Village prices, man.
And he's been getting a ton of backlash for it. Well, the real reasons behind his spoiled behavior are finally being exposed once and for all. Deacon, who's the 20-year-old son of Reese Witherspoon and Ryan Phillippe, is currently studying music at New York University. I don't think it's too surprising that he lives off campus, considering the fact that his parents are both mega famous actors. But the New York City apartment that he calls home is absolutely unreal. Just recently, Deacon was asked by TikToker Caleb Simpson to give a quick tour of his apartment. But even before the actual tour began, things were off to a crazy start. Caleb's entire TikTok is made up of videos showcasing people's houses and apartments. He almost always starts out by asking how much they pay for rent, and normally he gets at least a price range, if not a set amount in response. But that clearly didn't happen this time.
How much do you pay for rent in New York?
West Village prices, man.
Maybe Deacon was trying to avoid revealing how much he pays for rent in an attempt to dodge any Nepo baby accusations, but if that really was the case, it completely failed. As soon as they walked into his apartment, Caleb was totally stunned.
Oh, this is sick. Walking right into the spiral staircase, I haven't seen that before.
He's not wrong, but his reaction was extremely telling. Deacon didn't want to disclose his actual rent amount, but let's be real. For a multi-level apartment with a spiral staircase, vaulted ceilings, and exposed brick walls, the rent must be honestly insane. Not to mention, the appliances in the kitchen looked really modern.
Roommates. What are college students eating? Oh, not bad, actually.
Meanwhile, most college students who live in dorms are lucky to have a microwave in their living space. But even with one or two roommates, Deacon's rent can't be cheap, especially considering the size of his bedroom, which doubles as his recording studio.
This is your room. Cool.
Studio setup.
Deacon's room is actually kind of spacious compared to one of his roommates' room.
You're downloading Fortnite.
All the boys are back up.
It's definitely on the smaller side considering his bed takes up basically the whole room. And even though the bathroom isn't exactly huge either, it has a decently sized shower.
This is what I'm talking about.
Get real close on the sink right here.
No matter what the size of the rooms are, there's no denying that overall Deacon's apartment is pretty high end. Although he didn't specify, the price for a 2 to 3 bedroom apartment in West Village ranges from $7,000 to over $14,000. Caleb's TikTok of Deacon's apartment is only about 2 weeks old, but a lot of social media users have already chimed in with their opinions. Not surprisingly, many people seem to share the same crazy thoughts. Despite Deacon's casual approach to his luxurious apartment, he's clearly living incredibly well. Most college students are lucky to be able to afford to live off campus, let alone in a spacious apartment in the middle of a major city. Even though some of the remarks under the video's comment section are somewhat supportive, the majority of them are very critical. Many people believe that when Deacon refused to reveal how much he pays in rent, he actually had a bizarre reason behind it. A crazy amount of commenters referred to Deacon as a Nepo baby and stated that that's probably why he didn't say how much his rent was. Apparently, a lot of people think that his high-profile parents are still paying for at least his share of the rent since he's a college student. But Deacon isn't your typical college student, and the price of his tuition definitely isn't average either. For each semester, the tuition and fees for NYU's Steinhardt School for Music and Performing Arts costs a little over $30,000. So for a full year, that adds up to more than $60,000. Even if Deacon's apartment is on the low end, it could still easily cost at least $84,000 a year to rent it. Combined with his tuition, that's $144,000 a year just for tuition and shelter. And I'm sure that his financial aid situation is much better than almost everyone else's. Deacon is a student and an inspiring musician, but he doesn't appear to have a regular job to pay his college bills. Meanwhile, Reese reportedly has a net worth of about $440 million, and Ryan's is apparently around $35 million. So if they were covering their son's living expenses and college tuition, it wouldn't come as a surprise at all. Many people have criticized Deacon's apartment tour and calling him out for not being in tune with the real world, After all, most college students have to take out an insane amount of loans just to be able to attend a normal state university. According to educationdata.org, the average amount of federal loan debt per borrower is over $37,000, and for non-federal loans, it's even worse. On average, borrowers owe more than $54,000 in private loan debt, but as most people already know, student loan debt and rent rates both seem to be increasing at a seriously alarming rate. Almost everywhere you look, people are forced to work more hours than ever just to be able to afford rent at places that offer the bare minimum. And when it comes to student loan debt, it's absolutely devastating. The startling amount of money that people owe in student loan debt is preventing many of them from being able to pay for some of their necessities. It's nearly impossible for young adults to pay their rent, even just the interest on their student loans and their basic needs, but Deacon appears to totally be oblivious to the unbelievable financial struggles that the majority of people face. At one point during his apartment tour, he even criticized the spiral staircase as being sketchy. However, most college students in a similar living situation would be totally thrilled. Unfortunately, a lot of college students have no option but to either live with their families in super cramped dorm rooms or in crowded, barely maintained apartments. But even though Deacon clearly doesn't have to worry about any of that, some of the internet's opinions on his lifestyle are honestly unexpected. Surprisingly, not everyone is frustrated about how unfazed Deacon was about his extremely nice apartment. Some people have argued that he must be much more in touch with reality than others have assumed, and their reasoning is completely crazy. There are plenty of social media users who are still trying to defend Deacon from classic Nepo baby accusations. Most of them have been arguing that he has roommates, so he must be somewhat down to earth. They believe that if his parents really were footing the bill for his rent, he would be able to afford the whole place on his own. But even if that were true, it still doesn't mean that Deacon isn't a Nepo baby. It's possible that Reese and Ryan wanted him to have roommates anyway as a safety factor. And the fact that Deacon is only 20 years old and recently landed a major gig as a DJ seems to prove that he's still benefiting from having famous popular parents. In November, Deacon DJ'd the launch party for H&M's latest collaboration with Ray-Ban. I'm not trying to say that he's not a good DJ or that he hasn't put any real effort into his music career, but what other second-year college students have that kind of huge opportunity? On the one hand, it sort of makes sense that some people aren't faulting Deacon for his lifestyle. After all, it's not like he chose to be born to super rich, successful celebrities, but on the other hand, a little acknowledgement goes a long way, especially when it comes to the professional and financial boost he's been given in life. It must be insanely nice for Deacon to be pretty much handed everything by his parents, but since he's obviously a Nepo baby living in a high-end apartment, it would be great if he could at least not act like he has an average college student lifestyle. But anyway, now that we've gotten into Deacon's apartment tour and the criticism he's been getting for being tone deaf about it, I want to know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on his pretty luxurious living situation considering he's a 20-year-old college student? How do you feel when Nepo babies flaunt their high-end lifestyles when so many people are struggling financially to simply afford their basic needs? Let me know in the comments below.